The United States and the European Union share a deep and interconnected history. After World War II, the U.S. played a pivotal role in rebuilding Europe. This shared experience laid the foundation for a strong transatlantic partnership. It was built on shared values of democracy, free markets, and human rights. This partnership flourished for decades. It fostered unprecedented economic growth and prosperity on both sides of the Atlantic. Trade has been a cornerstone of the U.S. EU relationship. The two economies are deeply intertwined. They represent the largest bilateral trading relationship in the world. Millions of jobs depend on the free flow of goods and services. American and European companies have invested heavily in each other's markets. This has created a complex web of supply chains and economic interdependence. This long history of cooperation makes the recent trade tensions all the more concerning. The specter of a trade war between these economic giants has sent shockwaves through the global economy. Understanding the origins and potential consequences of this trade dispute is crucial for navigating the uncertain waters of the 21st century. The future of the transatlantic partnership may depend on it. Despite the long history of cooperation, cracks began to appear in the U.S.-EU trade relationship. The global economic landscape shifted dramatically. New economic powers, particularly China, emerged on the world stage. This brought with it new challenges and intensified competition for global market share. The 2008 financial crisis exacerbated these underlying tensions. It exposed vulnerabilities in the global financial system. The crisis led to a period of economic stagnation. Governments on both sides of the Atlantic faced pressure to protect their domestic industries. The political climate became increasingly polarized. Populist sentiments gained traction. This fueled a backlash against globalization and free trade agreements. Against this backdrop of economic uncertainty and political upheaval, trade disputes between the U.S. and EU became more frequent and acrimonious. Long-standing disagreements over agricultural subsidies, aircraft manufacturing, and digital taxation came to the fore. The Trump administration's America First policies, which emphasized protectionist measures, further strained the relationship. In 2018, the Trump administration ignited a full-blown trade war with the European Union. The administration announced tariffs of 25% on steel imports and 10% on aluminum imports from the EU. These tariffs, ostensibly imposed on national security grounds, sent shockwaves through the global trading system. The EU denounced the tariffs as unjustified protectionism. They argued that European steel and aluminum posed no threat to U.S. national security. The move was widely seen as a violation of World Trade Organization rules. The EU vowed to retaliate with its own tariffs on a range of American products. The tariffs immediately raised prices for steel and aluminum in the United States. This hurt American businesses that rely on these metals as inputs for their products. Manufacturers of automobiles, appliances, and construction materials faced higher costs. This put them at a competitive disadvantage both domestically and internationally. Retaliation and escalation. A trade war begins. The European Union wasted no time in responding to the U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum. The EU imposed retaliatory tariffs on a carefully curated list of American products. The list targeted iconic American brands and products produced in politically sensitive states. This was a calculated move to inflict maximum economic and political pain. Among the products hit with EU tariffs were Harley-Davidson motorcycles, bourbon whiskey, blue jeans, and orange juice. The EU's retaliatory tariffs were designed to pressure the Trump administration to reconsider its protectionist policies. They also aimed to send a message that the EU would not be bullied on trade. The tit-for-tat exchange of tariffs marked a dangerous escalation in the U.S.-EU trade war. It signaled a breakdown of the rules-based trading system that had governed global commerce for decades. The dispute created uncertainty and volatility in the global economy. Businesses on both sides of the Atlantic were caught in the crossfire. The economic battlefield casualties on both sides. The U.S.-EU trade war had a ripple effect throughout the global economy. Businesses and consumers on both sides of the Atlantic felt the pain. The tariffs disrupted supply chains, raised prices for consumers, and dampened economic growth. In the United States, the tariffs on steel and aluminum hurt domestic manufacturers. They faced higher input costs and lost market share to foreign competitors. The agricultural sector was also hit hard. The EU's retaliatory tariffs targeted American farmers already struggling with low commodity prices and trade disruptions. The European Union also suffered economic damage. European exporters faced higher tariffs and lost market share in the United States. The tariffs also hurt European consumers who had to pay more for American goods. The trade war created uncertainty and dampened investment. Lessons from the trenches, the perils of protectionism. The U.S. EU trade war serves as a cautionary tale about the perils of protectionism. History has shown time and again that trade wars are rarely, if ever, won. They tend to hurt everyone involved, leading to economic losses, job displacement, and geopolitical instability. The trade war between the U.S. and China, which erupted around the same time, provides a stark example of the destructive nature of protectionism. The two economic giants engaged in a tit-for-tat exchange of tariffs that damaged both economies and disrupted global supply chains. The U.S. EU trade war also highlighted the interconnectedness of the global economy. In today's world, goods and services flow freely across borders. Supply chains are often complex and global in nature. Disrupting these flows through protectionist measures has far-reaching consequences. Section 7. A call for unity, the future of U.S.-EU trade. The U.S.-EU trade war underscored the importance of cooperation and dialogue in resolving trade disputes. While differences will inevitably arise, it is essential that both sides engage in constructive negotiations to find mutually beneficial solutions. The Biden administration, which took office in 2021, pledged to repair relations with the EU and address trade concerns through diplomacy and cooperation. The two sides have made some progress in resolving specific trade disputes. However, significant challenges remain. The future of the U.S.-EU trade relationship will depend on the ability of both sides to overcome their differences and work together to address the challenges of the 21st century. A strong transatlantic partnership grounded in shared values and economic interests is essential for promoting global prosperity and security.